welcome to the 21st episode of Tuesdays with Tobe. My name is Tobe Frierson, and I am super excited to be back with you all again today with another message for you all to consider. This one's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to tell you all a personal story. And this personal story actually stems from a childhood dream that I was able to fulfill back in 2012. But then unfortunately, it came to a screeching, grinding halt May 19th, 2020, which actually happened to be a year ago last Wednesday. And I'll be honest with you, from last Wednesday all the way up until today, I've been doing a lot of reflection and just thinking about, wow, Tobe, did you make the right decision? Because when it came to a screeching halt, I had a decision to make. And so essentially today, I want to tell you all my story. I thought the Tuesdays with Tobe platform would be a great place to kind of share this and get you all's opinion on tough decisions. And whether in this instance or not, I've made the right decision. Now, I'll just go ahead and say, after some of you hear my story, you're gonna be like, Tobe, it's a no-brainer. You've absolutely 100% completely made the right decision. But just to be completely transparent, we were in this pandemic, or actually we are in this pandemic, and I started doubting my decision. I definitely started doubting my decision. I'll tell you a little bit more about the timeline a little later on in the story, but I am excited today to bring to you tough decisions. So hold on, this is gonna be a very interesting story about me. Before we get into that though, I always want to kind of brief you all on last week's message, just in case you got busy, as we all do, and you weren't able to look at it. I want to give you a little bit more to entice you so you can go back 1 week and check it out. So basically, last week we talked about using the platform of graduates and the graduation season we're in. What an accomplishment. I wanted to get you all to think about accomplishments that you had checked off in your life, things that you're proud of, things that you finished and completed, and I wanted you to share. And some of you did. So thank you so much for sharing those accomplishments. For those of you who didn't, please go ahead and bounce back 1 week, check out that message, and then think about the things that you have done recently that you can say, wow, I did that. This type of exercise is so important for us. We get going in the rut and the run of life, and we don't stop enough, and we don't pause to say, wait, I'm actually accomplishing some things. I'm checking some things off. I should be able to stick my chest out a little bit, put a smile on my face, and should be able to move on. So that was last week's message. What an accomplishment. Hop back 1 week. Tell me what you think about it. But before we get started with our tough decisions message today, we've got to say our family rules. And one more reminder to you all. I hope you're saying these rules every single day to yourself as ways of daily affirmations or daily declarations. So look behind me, ready, read. During Tuesdays with Tobe, we will use kind words, do your best, always be honest, forgive and forget, be happy, count your blessings, laugh at yourself, stay positive, and love one another. Do any of you recall having a childhood dream or something that you said to yourself as a child, when I grow up, I'm going to, and then fill in the blank? Well, for me, that was riding a motorcycle. I've literally known since 1987 or 1988, which would put me around 7 or 8 years old, that I would learn how to ride a motorcycle and own my own bike one day. That desire was planted in me by my Uncle Melvin, my cousins Alexander, and Alexander had some friends as well, and my cousin Miller. They all had bikes, and on Saturday mornings, we would go out to my grandparents' house, and those bikes would usually be in the yard, and they would be being shined up for a day of riding on Saturday and Sunday. And so all of us kids, my brother, my cousins, we would want to run up to the bikes. We wanted to see them. We definitely want them to crank them up and rev the engine so we could hear the roof. And then they would say, you guys want to ride? And to my shock, my mother and my grandmother and any of the other adults around, they allowed us to ride. And so the thrill of being on that bike as a child, as a little person, is what got me hooked. It's what got me saying all throughout grade school, middle school, and high school that one day I would ride a bike. There's nothing like being on two wheels. And so since we were at grandma's house every Saturday, I had a lot of opportunities to be back and forth off of those motorcycles, going probably about a mile down the road. As a kid, the helmet, of course, was too big. It was flopping all over my head. I didn't have a really big sight line, but I had that feeling. I had that adrenaline rush, and I knew, oh, I think I want a motorcycle. Now let's spur on to 2012. I had just gotten a new position at work, and it was a very high stress role. I knew I needed to put something in place to make sure I had an outlet and make sure that if I needed to kind of blow off some steam and get off to myself, I had the ability to do that. And so in that, it dawned on me, Tobe, you never learned how to ride. Like all those things that you said you were going to do as a kid, you're now 32 years old and you never learned how to ride. So what I did, I took a class at a local technical school. It was from a Friday to a Sunday. And guys, by Sunday afternoon, I was a newly minted holder of a motorcycle license. And by the very next week, I owned my very first bike. Now, I must admit, after I got my bike and started riding, I never really became a biker. I mean, look at me. Like, I mean, I could put on this other glove for you, but I'm also trying to make sure I keep up with my nose. I mean, you know, can you see it? Like, what do you think? You know, jacket here. Here's the helmet. You know, can you see it? Yeah, right, exactly. So I never really became a biker. I was just a person who had a bike, and when the weather got good, it was a great way to relax. It was a great way to go on adventures, and it was an awesome way to have fun and just exhale. So I would describe it as a hobby and one of those things that brought me probably the most satisfaction in life, just sheer joy, utter joy, and super, super, super thrills. And it's just exhilarating to be on two wheels. And those of you who ride, you know what I'm talking about. So let's fast forward to June 2019. There'll actually be more on this story in just a few weeks because I'll be coming up to the 2-year anniversary on a really bad car accident. A car accident that landed me in this collar with a fractured neck that required a spinal fusion. And also I had a head laceration that required 25 staples in the top of my head. If you were to remove my hair, you could see it. So yes, I have titanium in my neck. When I started the recovery process, however, from this accident with my neurosurgeon, he needed to create a plan and a timeline. So he asked me about my lifestyle and what types of activities I was involved in prior to my accident. So I ran down a list of things for him. I told him that I lifted weights multiple times a week. I ran 5Ks. I told him that I enjoyed swimming, that I played tennis, that I liked going out on the kayak, and I enjoyed walking trails and hiking. And then I ended my long list of, sir, I lead a very active lifestyle. Am I going to be healthy? I was like, I ride a motorcycle. And then I told him that as well. And he was jotting down everything on his computer and he looked up and he said, yeah, okay, well, first of all, he said your recovery process is going to be about a year and all of those activities are out, especially riding your bike. He said, but when we're going through these types of injuries with people, we need to have a focal point of recovery. And he said, I could see you definitely lit up when you told me about your motorcycle. So we will make working you back, being able to be in good riding shape again, or seeing if it's going to be possible for you to ride again. We're going to make that a focal point of your recovery. And so that's what we did. So during physical therapy, doing all the work, doing all the scans, things were looking good, you all. They were looking very good. And finally, on May 4th, 2020, I got the all clear from my neurosurgeon. Not only did he say my bone grew back just as it needed to, he also said my range of motion looked great. And he was like, you know what, Toby, if you want, you can get back on that bike. Folks, I am walking out of the Grady Hospital for the last time after a year of being under the care of a neurologist due to my head injury and my neck injury. And boy, am I excited right now. Wow. We just happened to be in the middle of a global pandemic, which that wasn't going on at the point of my accident. So this for me just tells you how much life is constantly changing, and don't even know if y'all can hear me or not. Just tells me how much life is constantly changing and how we all have a responsibility to be ready to face whatever comes our way. But I'm gonna let you guys see me snatch off this patient tag because I am no longer a patient at good old Grady. So let's fast forward again. Now we're at May 19th, 2020. And like I said in my introduction, that was a year ago last Wednesday. It was just 15 days after getting the all clear from our neurosurgeon. Toby, you can get back on your bike if you're comfortable. I'd probably been on the bike twice prior to this, and I was literally just doing a few laps around the community that I live in, which is pretty much what I've been doing to get myself used to riding again. After about a 20-minute ride, I was heading back to my neighborhood and I saw a car approaching a stop sign. So I was on a straightaway where there was no stop sign. So I had the right of way. I saw a car approaching and I was like, they're not gonna stop. And again, this is just my third time back on the bike after being off it in a year. So my ability to say they're not gonna stop and to react, it just wasn't there. So there was no reaction on my part other than a recognition of, this is it. And what happened, I ended up going airborne. I went airborne. Luckily, it was on a patch of grass. So the motorcycle veered away, went airborne on a patch of grass. And by the time I got to the hospital and was seen and released, I had a neck strain at that point. Thank goodness there was nothing wrong with all the repair work that my neurosurgeon had done the year prior due to this car accident. But you all, I was in a motorcycle accident. And I know many of you who are watching know nothing of this. It's because it's something that I chose not to share. My mother knew, my brother knew, my boyfriend knew. Unfortunately, he had to come to the hospital and go see the bike and see all this. And that's pretty much who knew. I think I just started sharing this probably about 6 months ago. The reason for the no share was, I didn't want it to seem like I didn't realize the severity of the first accident, the one that y'all don't even know about yet, because I haven't fully explained that. Those of you who are my family and friends, you do know the nature of that. There was just some shame around maybe living a little reckless. And then after I kind of thought about it all, I was like, well, Toby, no, like, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, you know how to ride a bike. And yes, you had not been on it in a while, but you also didn't pull out in front of anybody or whatever. Someone literally didn't see you, which when you take motorcycle riding classes and courses, they tell you you're unseen. It's completely defensive driving. Honestly, driving a bike has made me a better car driver. That's a whole nother story we won't talk about. Me and cars, just say 2 wheels is good for me. But the tough decision that I've made, folks, clearly after that accident, I told my mom, I told my brother, I told my boyfriend, I was like, no, done. I'm never riding again. The motorcycle's totaled. I'm not going to get another bike. And that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I did not get another bike. So by now, you all might be wondering, Toby, why did you title this episode Tough Decisions? Well, my bold announcement about not riding again was something that I blurted out because I was in trauma after that accident. I never thought, I knew I would go down on my bike because they also tell you that in class, like you're going to have to lay your bike down at some point. That means you see something coming and you're reacting. They teach you how to do that. I never thought I would get hit on my motorcycle. Never, ever thought that. So with that said, I announced that I'm never riding again because I knew that's what everybody wanted to hear. But after I got done with physical therapy and we were still in this pandemic and it was dragging on and we were all in the house and there was nothing to do, I got the bug again. I did. I started itching to ride again. I started itching to have another bike. So much so that I actually put it on my Christmas list. I did. I put a bike on my Christmas list. Now I did not purchase a bike. I wish I could have. But in terms of putting it on my Christmas list, this is all that came back towards me. And folks, these things are real. Like, I'm not sitting here scripting this talk today. This is Toby, 100%. That is a real Christmas gift I just showed you. It's a Harley Davidson, a 2007 edition of a street glider. But yeah, so, I miss it, guys. I miss the thrill and the freedom of being on 2 wheels. After all, it was a childhood dream. This is a 1987, 1988 thing that got planted inside of me. So at this point, I'm a little shy to ask this question, but I put all this out here. Here we go. What are y'all's thoughts? Should I look at this as a childhood dream fulfilled? Check, done? Or should I understand that there are risks in everything that we do in life? And should I follow my heart's desire and get a bike a little bit more functional than this? But I do appreciate the gift. So, I told you guys this would be a different type of episode today. I really want your opinions. You cannot hurt my feelings. When somebody puts a bunch of stuff out there, if somebody responds to it, I put a bunch of stuff out there. So you can't hurt my feelings. I want your honest opinions. Mom, I know you're disappointed in hearing that I want another bike, but you also heard me say I didn't purchase one for Christmas too. So we're safe there. Right now, I'm just coming to the Tuesdays with Toby family about making tough decisions because I feel like I've made a tough one. And I want to know whether you guys are like, oh, Toby, I 100% think you should go buy a bike tomorrow. Or do you applaud the tough decision that I made? And do you want to spur me on to continue to hold tight and to remain right where I am on my tough decision not to ride again? Hey, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little twist to the Tuesdays with Toby platform, as I wanted to do story time today and apparently show and tell. All that just kind of came out of nowhere. Those neck braces were also the actual braces too. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I can't wait to see you in a few weeks because I am going to tell you about June 7th, 2019 as I celebrate 2 years of still being alive. Have a great Tuesday, you all.